there is just not a proper regard for the judicial system and the seriousness with which an oath in court needs to be taken. I actually view this much more akin to perjury, frankly, than a technical violation. And the sentence for perjury is up to 10 years. I am going to revoke 5 years of Mr. Sledge's probation.
A key witness in Young Thug's RICO trial was taken back into custody after lying on the stand. Antonio Sledge, who's better known as Mounk Tounk, violated the terms of his plea agreement while on the stand just last month. This resulted in a ruling from Judge Whitaker to revoke 5 years of his probation. Sledge, a former co-defendant in the case, took a plea deal in December of 2022, agreeing to testify truthfully on criminal activity involving Young Slime Life, or YSL. Court documents show that he had previously acknowledged that YSL was a group that allegedly committed crimes to increase their notoriety and street cred. But during his testimony several weeks ago, Sledge appeared to backtrack on those statements.
Mr. Sledge, are you a part of a gang called YSL?
YSL is not a gang.
I am asking you specifically, are you a part, or have you ever been a part of a gang called YSL?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
And I asked you and told you YSL is not a gang.
Then if you could say yes or no.
No.
Okay. Have you ever been a part of a gang called YSL?
I just said no.
Sledge was taken into immediate custody following the ruling, despite requesting time to get his affairs in order. Here's Judge Whitaker's take.
I don't view it as a technical violation or akin to a technical violation, considering the solemn oath that he took when he said that he understood every term within the plea agreement, factual acknowledgments, and sentencing acknowledgments, and understood and, in fact, orally answered that he understood when both asked by the prosecutor and the court at his plea hearing that a failure to abide by any of the terms would constitute a violation of the agreement, and he was notified that the entirety of his probation could be revoked. I do appreciate the fact that this particular violation is a nonviolent violation. But I also appreciate the fact that some of the many reasons why this could have occurred include the fact that there is just not a proper regard for the judicial system and the seriousness with which an oath in court needs to be taken. I actually view this much more akin to perjury, frankly, than a technical violation. And the sentence for perjury is up to 10 years. I am going to revoke 5 years of Mr. Sledge's probation. And Mr. Sledge, I am sympathetic to the fact that you have generally stayed out of trouble in, and I want to commend you for that. And I really hope that this revocation doesn't set you back. But we've got to take seriously the court system. So that's the sentence of the court. I find there to have been that violation. I'm revoking 5 years.
And
he will be continued on probation, Your Honor?
And reinstate the balance.
Thank you.
Might I ask, is it possible for my client to turn himself in to make arrangements?
I think y'all knew when you came in here that this was a strong possibility. So, no, I'm sorry.
So how did we get here? Well, it all started with a motion prosecutors filed earlier this month, claiming Sledge knowingly and willfully contradicted key elements of the agreement during his recent testimony. The plea deal required him to acknowledge 16 factual statements about YSL, but during his testimony, he was uncooperative, simply saying he didn't recall information about the 2015 murder of Donovan Thomas. And at one point during his testimony, things got heated. Here he is with prosecutor Adrian Love.
Was the lawyer for your friend, Mr. Kendrick, here in court with you on December 28th, 2022? You can answer first, and I will let you explain, but I need you to answer yes or no.
But could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child or something? I'm not your child.
You are not.
You talking aggressive to me. You don't intimidate me. All them guys over here. So if you would have came to me and asked me that, I'd have told you the same thing. What if they was in my face or not in my face? I'm not scared of them or you.
I don't want you to be.
Well, that's what you acting like it. That's what you acting like you trying to pay.
So do you want me to bring my voice down? And I apologize
Don't
if it
holler at
sounds
me,
like
I
I'm
ain't your
yelling.
child. Could I take a break? Y'all on the call.
No, we've had so many breaks this
Yeah,
morning. We
'cause
really need to get through this.
In an attempt to counter the state's motion, Sledge's attorney, Derek Wright, pointed to the plea deal and the claim that Sledge for sure knew associates of YSL were involved in Thomas's murder. The defense argues this little tidbit was supposed to be removed, but it was mistakenly included when Sledge signed the agreement. Judge Whitaker, of course, reminded him that his client still lied under oath repeatedly.
From all the drafts, and then ends up back in.
That is true.
So
But your response on your defendant's exhibit to item, what is then item number 4, does not definitively state anything like what you just said. He said he did not know, as we discussed at the time of the ongoing trial, could have been interpreted in several different ways. But I understand what you're saying.
and just so
You maintain that the two of you both missed the fact that you signed, or your client signed, a factual acknowledgement that included item number 8.
correct.
And then when Ms. Love read it out orally in the court, and Mr. Sledge, one by one, said, yes, I acknowledge that somehow that didn't occur to you at that point in time either. So I understand what the assertion is. Here's the thing. You seem to be focused almost wholly, if not wholly, on, well, maybe there was a mistake with regard to factual assertion number 8. The issue that I see is that the state has not limited their petition to revoke probation to he contradicted or he refused to acknowledge during the trial that item number 8. It is the entirety of disavowing factual acknowledgments, et cetera. And what got disavowed under oath in this trial was far more than just item number 8. It was item number 3, item number 4, item number 5, item number 6, item number 7, item number 8, item number 9, item number 16, and then the part 5, sentencing acknowledgments, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and the paragraph underneath asserting that he's read and that they're true and that he understands that he's had an opportunity to discuss it and he voluntarily enters into it, et cetera, et cetera. So even if we entirely disregard item number 8 of the factual acknowledgments, there are still however many other ones that added up to that the state is still relying upon. And I don't see how you get around, and maybe you have a way to get around the rest of it, and I'm certainly willing to listen, but that one thing is sworn to in open court on December 28th of 2022, and then something diametrically opposite of that is sworn to under oath back on September 5th of this year.
Sledge told the judge that he felt pressured to take the plea deal due to personal circumstances and issues with finances. He had 27 years, 7 months, and 8 days left on his probation prior to this ruling. So what exactly were the statements that Sledge agreed to? Let's go over some of the notable ones. Sledge agreed to testify that 1. YSL is an organization made up of 3 or more members who have committed crimes. 2. That he's been a member of YSL or an associate since 2012. 3. On January 10, 2015, after the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., Sledge and other YSL associates went to the home of Jeffrey Williams, who gave them money to lay low. You probably know him as Young Thug. And finally, that even though Sledge himself didn't commit the murders and wasn't even involved, he would not testify about the innocence of the other co-defendants. While we're talking about Sledge, let's recap the former co-defendants who took plea deals in the case. We'll start with those who've testified so far in this trial. There's Walter Murphy, an alleged co-founder of YSL, who pleaded guilty to a racketeering charge in exchange for his testimony. He testified back in April of this year on his involvement with YSL. Then there's Trontavious Stevens, also known as Tick or Slug. He took a plea deal and testified during the trial back in January. He wavered on the stand, not wanting to call YSL a criminal organization, but he admitted to committing crimes while part of the YSL music label. And now on to those we have not heard from. There's the rapper Gunna, known legally as Sergio Kitchens. He pleaded guilty back in December 2022 to a racketeering charge where he was sentenced to 5 years in prison, with 1 year commuted to time served and the remainder suspended. He never agreed to testify in this trial. Quantavious Greer, who's actually Young Thug's brother, also is included. He pleaded guilty to charges of racketeering and theft by receiving stolen property. In May of last year, he violated the terms of probation for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and is now serving 9 years and 6 months in prison. And finally, we have Winnie Lee, Martinez Arnold, Antonio Sumlin, and DeAndre Beebe. They all pleaded guilty to racketeering and could be called to testify. We will continue to bring you the latest on all the twists and turns of the YSL trial, the longest in Georgia state history. Reporting for Law&Crime, I'm Sierra Gillespie.